How about this? 20 years ago, 2006, January of. Here it was, 4th and 5. This from the 13-yard line. Now, this was 9 minutes to play, but we understood what a 10-point lead with under 10 minutes to play would mean for Indiana. As good as they are, it's going to be a big-time uphill climb for Miami. They still fought, but there is no doubt on a 4th and 5, where if you're Miami, you get a stop, you get the ball down 3 with a chance to go win the football game potentially or take control of the game. And Kreitz rolls the dice to go for it, and here's how it sounded.
In the gun, the ball's on the 13-yard line. He's clapping as if they're going to snap it. They do snap it. He takes off running on a design quarterback draw. He has the first down. He spins into the end zone. What a play by Mendoza. And what a call. It was a design run. He bounced off a couple of hits. Looked like he was going to get the first down. He wasn't satisfied. It's another highlight reel play for Mendoza.
Yeah, highlight reel, no doubt. Think about the Penn State comeback. But, also authored some great comebacks and finishes in his career. Vince Young at Texas. Vincent Paul Young, it was 20 years ago. They had 4th and 5. Texas was inside the 10-yard line from about the 8.5. And they could have gotten a first down at about the 3. But safe to say, going for it on 4th and 5, they had to in Texas's case. Kreitz rolled the dice. Here we go.
4th and 5, the national championship on the line right here. He's going for the corner. He's got it. Vince Young scores.
Thank you, Keith Jackson. Yeah, that's 20 years apart right there, Noah. 4th and 5, 4th and 5, fourth quarter runs. Big performances by big-time quarterbacks in a big-time moment. And the coach Texas had to score there. That they could not go for it.
Still.
But for Cignetti, and this I think that play, not only was it a highlight reel play, and if Miami gets the stop, they might have won the national title, just like USC. The after conversation about Kurt Cignetti installing that play and calling that play in the moment.
Right.
This wasn't even the offensive coordinator. It was Kurt Cignetti saying, "Hey, we installed it. Let's run it. If they give us the same, zone look they just gave us, we're going to, get the first down easy. Might even score," which is what he told his offensive coordinator. And that's what happens. That's good coaching. That's really good coaching, to say the least. And
trust in your guy too, right? I mean, in that situation there, just having a design play, great coaching, like you said. I mean, that's been Kurt Cignetti there at Indiana, but just giving it to Mendoza, the Heisman winner, and him doing that, I mean, that was unbelievable. I mean, what an unbelievable play. Going back to VY, that'll stick in the history of college football. When we see a slideshow of plays, those two now are cemented in there. I mean, Texas obviously with VY is in there, but now this will be. And
you start to compare it to other national titles and where it ranks, and 16-0, and the little engine that could, the book I grew up reading.
Right.
I mean, it totally is, and this is the Indiana team. Right. But I would say the only thing that comes close to it that I've covered in my time was Cam Newton and Auburn.
Sure.
Where they were unheralded and they didn't have Gene Chizik was the head coach, and this guy Cam Newton, who had been at Florida, then at Blinn, and had off-field issues. But all of a sudden, if you remember, his Heisman year, Cam Newton, much like Mendoza, there was just incredible fourth quarter play, almost like carrying his team, and kind of similar as far as talent goes, right? Auburn, I think they had one other guy on that team that made it to the National Football League. Now, Indiana's going to have several other guys that go to the NFL, but they'll be middle round draft picks.
Right. These are day 2, day 3 guys.
Yeah, and Mendoza with the Vegas Raiders brass all there, Mark Davis and Tom Brady.
The jerseys are printing right now.
Yeah, he might be the pick, and why not? But at the same time,
after last night, yeah.
Yeah, but
Vegas could use that.
Electric. But we'll see. I mean, that's the thing I can compare it to. But Nick Saban turned Alabama really quickly. But you already knew that with Nick Saban. Nick Saban had done it at LSU before he left to go to the Miami Dolphins, so you knew he had it. This Kurt Cignetti guy in Indiana and Fernando Mendoza all just completely out of nowhere. And, case in point, they started the season ranked 20th in the country. Even after going, the year they had last year in the playoffs, still people doubted them.
Well, and fair to doubt. I mean, you look at who they played.
I doubted them during the year,
we
no
all
question.
did. I mean, I did I always do my projected records. I had them at a nice 8-4. I mean, I didn't even have them in the playoffs. I don't think a lot of people did. And when they went out and beat Oregon, that's when we started to go, okay, not a lot of teams go out to Eugene and win that fashion. And Fernando Mendoza in that game, if we go back to whenever that was, I believe that was October, He threw a pick 6, yet they still won by 10. To me, I went, wow, that defense seems pretty legit. I think Oregon's a damn good team. And what do they do when they played them again? I mean, they steamrolled them, and the whole season has just been really unbelievable. And credit to Mendoza, credit to obviously Kirk Cignetti and the staff he has. Won't be doubting them next year, as I'm sure when we read off the top 20, they won't be number 1. They won't be probably number 2 or 3. They'll probably be in the top 5 or 10. But again, this just goes to how important coaching is, how important it is to establish culture, build it, and they will come kind of mentality of, yes, they have the largest alumni base in Indiana. We now know that. And they have Mark Cuban, who's throwing some millions at them. But if you build it, they're going to come, right? Like that's just, when you have a coach, guys like Josh Hoover, there's going to be a lot of players that want to play for a guy like Kirk Cignetti that aren't the 3, the 5 or 4 stars. They're going to be the 3-star guys.
Well, in Horns at Half Pass, I would send this message to Steve Sarkisian if he's listening. The one thing that Kurt Cignetti does is he doesn't complicate the game. He doesn't complicate the game. And sometimes I think Sark does. Red zone trick plays and things.
Stuck with the run game, which was effective last night. That's just one example.
And Arch Manning can do this too. How many times last night when they built a 10-0 lead and were controlling the game, when there was off coverage, they would just take 6 yards. And Mendoza would over and over again.
Yep.
And Miami tightened up in the second half, and it was a good adjustment, but building that 10-0 lead, obviously critical. And that's what I'm saying. All year long, Cignetti's teams they take what you give them.
Yep.
They don't make mistakes. They stay buttoned up. And as this text says, there are a couple interesting texts here that lead to me, fun college football conversations. Because this says, neither of these teams are that impressive, guys, as far as those overall teams you're talking about. Parity is nice, but we no longer have super teams. Well, that's true, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's more aligned with what we watch in the National Football League. As I've said many times in this very spot, unpredictable is more fun as a fan than predictable.
100%.
And there's been many teams, where the season started, there was a super team or two, and you knew what was going to happen. It was a foregone conclusion almost. No one's beaten that team, and no one did. I love it when there's multiple teams. We had a 10 seed playing a team that was preseason number 20. I know Indiana was ended up number 1 by proof during the season, but they were ranked 20 in the preseason. Miami was ranked 10 coming into the tournament, and they played a heck of a game last night. I am for that, and I understand if you like the idea of super teams and all this talent and 5 stars, those Georgia teams of, when Georgia kicked off in 2022 and 2023, I don't think there was much of a doubt.
Right.
Michigan, the team that
they built that up.
And they had, 14 NFL draft picks.
Yes.
That wasn't, the only thing getting in the way of Michigan was them. They almost did with, spy scandals and things.
Right, they did almost.
Coach suspensions. And at some level, the Ohio State team of last year
was I think they had
unbelievable.
15 guys drafted. They were right there behind them.
And, next year, Texas, and there'll be a lot of Texas is going to have a bunch of NFL draft picks next year, and they need to be in the mix next year for that big thing and maybe win the thing. I don't know, because time will tell. This is year 2. Last year, the most talented team, without a doubt, won it, and won 4 straight games as a 7 seed. This year, this team that proved it all year long, but just again, he just doesn't make football that complicated.
Nope.
There's nothing flashy about what they do. And every coach in America, including Sark, can take that and say, man, if they're going to give it to you, take it. If you don't make mistakes and, the self-inflicted wounds that Sark talks about all the time, you eliminate those, as many as you can, and get your red zone offense going. You've got the talent to do it. And, that's the message, Sark. The other one, I think it's an interesting text, is this on Fernando Mendoza. It says, by his own admission, when he came out of high school, he wasn't ready to play. He just felt like he needed to walk on.
Yeah.
He's a perfect example of a guy sticking with it and developing. What does that say in this day and age of people transferring and programs not being willing to develop players? Well, look, again, the minute the fans will be patient with coaches is the minute they'll go back to that and be willing to wait on a guy and develop. But what did you hear all this year about Sark is, why didn't you go into the portal and bring in offensive linemen that could play immediately and not trust that these guys were going to develop? Well, you got to get these guys experience. They've got to learn how to play on the interior of the offensive line. Arch, got killed in the first. But that now the gratification for fans is, well, no, you should have been in the portal. Well, no, if you go into the portal to bring in experience, those players are going to leave.
Right.
That's just the cycle of it.
Yep.
And so you can say you want that. You can say coaches should embrace development, and there are some programs in the country where that still has to be the reality. But at Texas, or at Penn State, or who fired their coach last year, LSU. They're not waiting. The Brian Kelly made the argument in his a couple years ago that we weren't ready to attack the portal with money. Remember 2020, the 2024 season?
Yep.
We weren't ready, so we wanted some young guys to get in and develop, and we took some lumps, and now we're ready to attack the portal. Well, his fan base didn't like that at all. They were like, no, what are we doing? We just had the Wall Street Journal list out. We're the fourth most valuable program in the country. Go get experienced players. So fans and big boosters and the alumni demands it. So coaches like Sark almost have to go into I don't even know where Sark is philosophically on. I know he wants to win. But yeah, a lot of good players who are younger for Texas walked out the door in favor of more experienced players because experience wins.
Yep.
Yep. At least right now. And, Ohio State.
A team that averages almost the age of 24.
In Michigan
wins.
2 years ago.
Old team.
Very old team.
Yep.
We're like Ohio State with a fifth-year quarterback.
A lot of
very
guys
old
that
team.
came back, right.
Young on defense, but very old on offense. And so, that's if you're trying to win and the pressure is mounting, then you're going to go for experience, which Sark has done here. The 16 and Sark and his staff through their 16 portal additions. There's been a little bit of a mix, right? You've gotten older players at linebacker and at right tackle and defensive tackle. Obviously Cam Coleman will be a third-year player. You got some returning guys, but you've also added some younger players that you're trying to do the mix. And the big loser in all of this is high school football recruits because
it is.
When you've got thousands of players in the transfer portal that are looking for homes, what does that do to high school players who are looking to go get an opportunity? So, it's a trickle down without a doubt. But, to that question, to waiting on players to develop, I just don't think fans are patient enough. They're not going to allow that. And we heard it, echoing for Sark this year that he, Sark has been big on development and how many guys they put in the draft and all the things that have gone on. Yeah, and this season kind of blew up in his face a little bit because the running back room was not as talented as it should have been. The offensive line wasn't ready like they thought it would be. And, they cost him a couple of games. And you lose a couple games, you're not going to be in the tournament. And so, the mission now is to be more experienced in key spots to maximize Arch Manning's year, which again is going to lead to some of these younger guys who don't see a path to the field to saying, you know what, go somewhere else. And that's the nature of college athletics right now, without a doubt, whether we like that or not.